Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Launched at Basel 2014, this is the automatic winding follow-up to the original 2008 Glashutte Original PanoMaticInverse XL. This is the PanoMaticInverse, 42 millimeters in red gold. The watch is an automatic winder that is remarkably slim at only 12.7 millimeters thick. It took me aback with its slim profile, and a relatively short 48.6 millimeter lug-to-lug span, making this one of the most wearable 42 millimeter watches you're going to encounter. I'll throw it on my wrist, 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see from the overhead shot, it's not really approaching the edges of my wrist. It's also not terribly thick, and it will fit underneath the cuff. So in rose gold with a dress watch ambiance about it, it will fit underneath a tight formal sleeve. And you can see this down the barrel shot. I've got plenty of room on either side, and I could really recommend this for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. It's a weighty watch, but it doesn't have a huge footprint. Now, taking a quick look at the strap is a sort of velvety nubuck texture, large rectangular scale alligator leather in dark brown. There's a monotone stitch. The edge, as you can see, is broad, but it is folded, not sheer, and it's substantially bolstered with internal stuffing to give it some volume and substance. You can see on the underside, it is calfskin. And the buckle's unusual. This is something Vacheron has also done in the past, in that the pin portion of the buckle is actually fixed by a screw. So you get a full folding clasp in red gold to prevent you from dropping the watch, and then you get more security in the form of a fixing screw. An extra measure of protection, one that costs a bit more to install, but you will have additional peace of mind. Now, the timepiece includes a characteristic Glashutte Original case design, so the lugs are stepped out from the case band, but they're not quite as notched relative to the case profile as you'll find on, for example, a Longa. The hoods of the lugs are polished. There's a little transitional deflection or bevel on their sides. And you can see the mid-case is longitudinal satin with a polished outer lip to the bezel and a polished lip to the case back. You'll also note that the bezel is slightly angular. It has a conical portion that gives way to a sort of embutment against the crystal. So there's a bit of a double step to the bezel that articulates it a bit and helps to visually pare down the mass of this physically massive but visually light watch. There's a Glashutte Original polished crown, and then we get to the dial, and that's really where all the fun happens. The caliber 9102 is an inverse movement, which is why I'm only going to spend a moment on the case back. You can see it's nicely executed with a few black polished elements, black polished screws and fired blued screws, both with Glashutte stripes, because we're not in Switzerland, they're not Côte de Genève, but most of the action is on the dial side, as the movement has been turned inside out with the traditional German 3/4 plate visible on the front, and not one, but two structures freehand engraved. You've seen the balance cock single-sided on a Longa. Well, this duplex swan's neck system features a full balance bridge, hand engraved on both sides, with black polished regulators over the center. The timepiece also features more of those Glashutte stripes, fired blued screws, engine turning on the base plate, and then you can see that there is silver satin finish with rose gold appliques on the actual dial. Now, the watch does feature both stop seconds and a quick set date mechanism, which is not universal in Glashutte Original Panorama Datum watches. So it's nice to know that quick set is there. The caliber is automatic winding. It beats away at 8 beats per second, and it has a 42-hour power reserve. It also, surprisingly, has a little bit of lume. The dial is an array of color and character with few equals in the industry, as this 5-position adjusted high horology watch is absolutely stunning and surprisingly also loomed. So we're going to have a loom shot. You can see how the applique dial elements float above the dial base of the 3/4 plate. It is a truly good looking watch, and you can see that there is a mirrored bevel on the edge of that 3/4 bridge. This is a timepiece that defines its manufacturer, the closest thing Glashutte Original has to a design icon. 50 meters water resistant too, so it is surprisingly sealed for a dress watch. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And we're back with the PanoMaticInverse. I should add the watch has a 21 millimeter lug horn spacing. I didn't mention that earlier, but I'm mentioning it now. Reach out to tmosso at thewatchbox.com.